What Fang Hao just took out was a dragon scale. Previously, we had been looking for craftsmen willing to make equipment from dragon scales, and now we have this opportunity. Given the large quantity, Brimstone naturally chose Fang Hao. Similarly, Fang Hao didn't expect that bringing in demon materials would lead to finding someone willing to make dragon scale equipment. Brimstone nodded. Dragon scales are indeed suitable for making armor. If you have dragon teeth and dragon tendons, I can also forge you a decent weapon. Dragon teeth and dragon tendons? Goodness, dragons are treasures from head to toe. But Fang Hao shook his head. Only dragon scales are left. We've used up everything else. Spencer is now an undead hero. Are his teeth and body still his own? We can't actually sacrifice an orange dragon hero just to create a weapon. That would be too much of a waste of a hero's potential. Oh, what a pity. Brimstone looked regretful and continued. All right, what kind of armor do you plan to make? What are the requirements? And who will wear it? How many sets can you make? If you're about the same size as me, I could make at least 100 sets, but the exact number depends on how much we consume. Dragon scales are plucked from the dragon's body. This large species naturally has many scales. Saying it has several thousand is just Fang Hao's rough estimate. Fang Hao thought for a moment and realized that Nielsen and Dimitrika already had their own equipment when they were summoned. Moreover, their levels are all quite high. When Asidi came out, he not only had equipment, but also a horse. None of these require equipment. Fang Hao needs to consider himself, as well as the other heroes above orange rank. I'll wear one set, and then there will be vampire, orc, and undead sets that need to be made. Regional channel. There's been no news from Shanghai Alliance. Have they overcome their difficulties? I heard from our alliance leader that the Shanghai Alliance has moved, abandoning its original cities and going to develop in the Human Federation. If we don't even want the city, what's the point of development? A couple of days ago, I also received a message from the leader that he was going to open a road for the Shanghai Alliance. But it seems that the matter was cancelled later and the Shanghai Alliance did not come. Could they have all been wiped out? That can't be right. We haven't seen anyone from the Shanghai Alliance speak out recently. The crowd began to discuss the Shanghai Alliance. Some people have been constantly tagging members of the Shanghai Alliance, hoping to find out some inside information. After all, if the Shanghai Alliance leaves, the enemy will spread to that area, which will also affect others. Soon, Ma Tianyi, the leader of the Shanghai Alliance, appeared. He made a statement that resembled an announcement. Shanghai Alliance has officially disbanded. All original members have joined Fang Hao's territory. They are currently clearing out the monsters spreading in the area. Please rest assured that the situation is under control. Wow, the channel crashed again. Shanghai Alliance has disbanded. It has been directly incorporated into Fang Hao's territory. Moreover, the enemies who previously forced the Shanghai Alliance to flee are also being eliminated. This simply conveys a message. Fang Hao helped them eliminate the enemy. That's absolutely terrifying. After signing a pact with the dwarves, Fang Hao returned to the main city with Dimitrika. He was really afraid of being discovered by the dragons if he lingered there for too long. Then it will just be another pointless entanglement. Ultimately, they signed a contract with the dwarves. However, the armor needs to be made piece by piece. He made his own first, and then made them for heroes like Lorana and Rochuan in turn. In short, the heroes of the territory will be receiving a batch of equipment upgrades. Jump straight to the top level. It was nearing dusk. Lizardfolk Queen is here again, and this time she not only came in person but also brought some gifts. This includes some cloth, gold and silver utensils, as well as fruits and wines produced in the swamp. Even Fang Hao had his doubts. They probably won't come to borrow money. The queen is welcome. Why bring these gifts? Fang Hao said politely. Then he waved his hand, signaling for someone to carry it into the warehouse. Lizardfolk Queen, revealing a full set of teeth, said, "It just so happens to be peak season, so I brought some over especially for you. Rich, are the plants in the swamp abundant in spring? Your Majesty is too kind." Fang Hao gestured for the queen and the others to sit down. The maid brought over drinks, as well as some dried fruit and pastries. "What did you buy at Merchant Alliance this morning?" The queen leaned back in her seat, her vertical pupils looking at Fang Hao with curiosity. "At the time, I asked Lizardman to help me buy things from the Sea Clan. A blueprint ship, nothing else." Fang Hao replied casually. Thinking about it, it makes sense. I used the other person's identity to buy things. It's best to let them know what you've bought, so they don't think you're using their name to buy something strange or unusual. "Oh, are we setting sail?" "No, I was just bored, so I bought them as a blueprint reserve." After saying that, Fang Hao continued, "Did the queen come here for some business?" The queen glanced to the side. Priest Tic-Tacta of Lizard Man then stood up and said, Lord Fang Hao, I have come to talk to you about the pilgrimage. Then, Tic-Tacta recounted the story of the lizardman's pilgrimage. Fang Hao understood as well. Simply put, it means that on important days, the queen and her chosen husband unite to give birth to offspring with a purer bloodline. They believe that the life conceived through union on this day is blessed by the ancient saints. The power will become even greater. In Fang Hao's view, the time of this pilgrimage should be the time when female lithermen are more likely to conceive. As for the blessings bestowed by the ancient sages, gods do exist, but you mate, feel happy and comfortable, and then ask them for blessings. That's a bit too much, isn't it? Oh, this is indeed a big deal. Fang Hao agreed, then asked curiously, is there anything we can do to help? As allies, please feel free to ask. Tic-Tacta glanced at the queen. The latter turned her head away shyly. Tic-Tacta continued, after screening, your Dimitrika possesses very pure ancient holy bloodline. Holy crap, Fang Hao suddenly realized that they had come to propose marriage, although I don't know how they verified their bloodline. However, Dimitrika is a recruited hero, and since he possesses ancient protection skills, his bloodline should be higher than that of a regular lizard man. Call Dimitrika over, Fang Hao said. Nisbet, who was guarding the door, quickly left and soon brought Dimitrika over. Dimitrika was slightly taken aback when he saw Hall and his group of lizard men. Their gazes also swept over the queen, and the two exchanged a glance. My lord, your majesty the queen. Dimitrika bowed to the two. Yes, please sit down, Dimitrika. After they sat down, Fang Hao continued. Dimitrika, are you aware of the pilgrimage? Clear. The queen intends to choose you as her husband. What are your thoughts? Fang Hao asked directly. Dimitrika glanced at the queen, who was avoiding his gaze, then rose and knelt on one knee. Your majesty, I do. Fang Hao nodded. Your majesty, since Dimitrika is willing, I have nothing to say and I will give you my blessings. Both the queen and Dimitrika were somewhat embarrassed. Priest Tic-Tacta continued. Lord Fang Hao, there is actually another matter that I need to discuss with you. Oh, tell me about it. That is a matter concerning the queen's descendants. Dimitrika is under your command and does not belong to the Holy Dynasty. This offspring should belong to the Holy Dynasty, Tic-Tacta said. It means ownership of the child. Fang Hao glanced at Dimitrika, but did not answer immediately. The other party arrived too hastily. I should have listened to Dimitrika's opinion beforehand. But then I thought about it again. After the little lizard man is born, he will definitely stay with his mother, and the lizard man territory is more suitable for the lizard man to live in. There's no question of ownership or non-ownership, since they haven't even discussed divorce. After thinking for a moment, he smiled and said, Priest Tic-Tacta's words are problematic. Oh, how so? Whether it's the Holy Dynasty or my territory, it's all home to this child. It doesn't belong to either of them. Of course, the Holy Dynasty is more suitable for his growth, and he can stay there for a longer period of time, Fang Hao said. It means that the child can stay with you, but if the other child wants to come and visit, you can't refuse them. Tic-Tacta glanced at the queen again, and seeing her nod slightly, said, Lord Fang Hao's words also make sense. Haha, then this matter is settled. When is the pilgrimage? Fang Hao continued to ask. There are still 2 weeks left. Okay, then let's wait 2 weeks. Don't leave tonight. Stay for dinner. Night fell. Merchant Alliance Outpost, Succubus Hut. A rapid knocking sounded, causing the voluptuous succubus, who had already fallen asleep, to slightly open her eyes. She picked up a pink tulle shawl and draped it over her shoulders. He said softly, Come in. The door opened, and a man dressed in a tight leather jacket, little succubus, walked in. Sister Demon Lord, someone has appeared at Merchant Alliance with demon materials, little succubus said. The demon lord was taken aback, but also regained some of his composure. Tell me what you know. Here's the thing, little succubus continued. I just had a guest who, in his dream, saw a man asking a dwarf about the uses of demon materials. Succubus Hut's business is more legitimate than their name suggests. By entering dreams, people of all races can experience all sorts of things they've always dreamed of in their dreams. For example, the most popular topics are war and rights. There is also love. However, those who can come to Merchant Alliance headquarters are of extraordinary status and position, so such requirements are actually quite rare. Of course, when succubi meet someone they like, they will also personally take the stage for a passionate love affair. But in terms of business, it really is a legitimate industry. Dreaming isn't illegal, is it? During their dream entry process, succubi can also secretly gather information about various races. Even the most secret things can be revealed unconsciously in dreams. Succubi can gather information about any race if they so choose. Today, little succubus is receiving a guest who is an orc recognized by a master craftsman. In her dream, she saw a human holding demonic materials, asking a master dwarf craftsman about their uses. After the dream ends, they immediately went to inform the demon lord. You mean humans? The demon lord perked up as well. Yes, a human. Looks like a transmigrator's, little succubus replied. Interesting. The demon lord smiled slightly and continued. Have someone draw his appearance. Keep an eye on this person in the future. Yes, demon lord sister. Little succubus replied, wagging its tail and turning to leave. After lizard folk queen left, Fang Hao and Dimitrika had a detailed conversation. It's also clear that Dimitrika's connection to lizard folk queen is also interesting. If the two of them can really get together, it would be a good thing. It provides an emotional anchor and also helps both the territory and the lizard man maintain their alliance. Regarding work and family, there's really no need to worry. With the teleportation array being so convenient, Dimitrika could easily work in Fang Hao during the day and go back to the queen to pay his dues in the evening. It won't delay anything. As long as the two sides do not go to war, this marriage alliance can guarantee their alliance. Unless a particularly serious problem arises, it will not affect the relationship between the two parties. After talking with Dimitrika for a long time, we finally settled the matter. They both agreed. Fang Hao also supports them. Dimitrika has left. Fang Hao went to the backyard to soak in the hot spring again. The environment in the territory is still very good, making it a great place to relax and unwind. Lying by the hot spring pool, I rested my head on Yur's soft, white thighs, enjoying Xiaobai's massage. Today's gains were quite significant. Craftsmen were found for the dragon scales, and the matters concerning Dimitrika and the lizard folk queen were also settled. In 2 more weeks, the two of them will be able to be together. Then we won't need to find various excuses to go to each other's territory to meet. Master, is Dimitrika going to be with that queen? Little White asked softly. Yes, we officially got together in about 2 weeks, Fang Hao replied. Really, it's like reading a romance novel. The story of Dimitrika and the queen is also of great interest to all the women. Differences in power and status, along with various obstacles, make the future of this couple unpredictable. Now we're finally going to define our relationship. Okay, Fang Hao nodded. That's wonderful, they've finally gotten together. Xiaobai lay on her side, hugging Fang Hao, as if witnessing a love story that had reached a happy ending. Fang Hao put one arm around her and gently stroked her fluffy tail. While enjoying the quiet time, Fang Hao also opened Lord's book, clicked on the World channel, and checked the Transmigrator shops at the top of the list one by one. See if there are any blueprints that you need, so you can make a supplement. Just as the group was enjoying each other's tender moments, a cold, emotionless system notification suddenly rang in my ears. Lord's quest now open. Quest name, Day of Grace. Mission objective, explore ancient ruins. Mission description, in 10 hours, the lost ruins will be revealed to the world. While exploring for treasures, beware of the awakened guardians. We're on a mission, damn it. Since winter, there haven't been any system tasks for a long time. Fang Hao had even forgotten that there was such a thing as a system task. Perhaps it's not just Fang Hao, but others as well. I gradually accepted this world, tried my best to integrate, and considered myself a part of this world. This mission is quite different from previous ones. The previous ones were all called challenge missions. The mission involves various monsters attacking the city, and the Transmigrator's job is to defend the city. This time, however, the word challenge was absent. The task involves exploring ancient ruins, where you can obtain corresponding rewards. Similarly, there are also guardians. They're the enemy, I suppose. To put it simply, this mission was more like a gift, intended to accelerate the growth of Transmigrators. There were no options to accept or abandon the mission. What's wrong? Little White noticed that it wasn't being stroked anymore and curiously raised its head. Fang Hao gently patted Tingxiao's pert cheeks. There are some things. Oh, Little White replied, resting her head on his chest and reaching her little hand inside. Fang Hao opened the Lord's book and went to the regional channel. Sure enough, the topic turned to the task that had just appeared. Holy crap, a mission has appeared. I had completely forgotten about it if you hadn't told me. It's an ancient site mission. This system has finally opened its eyes and knows to give out some reward missions. How can you be sure it's a benefit and not a trap? System tasks are all designed to kill you outright. Why would they need to dig a trap for you to fall into? Hey, anyone interested in team adventures? More people means more security. The channel is buzzing with excitement. Most people believe it's a welfare mission, a way to provide benefits to transmigrators. Thinking about it, it's actually quite easy to understand. If the system wants to kill people, it just needs to issue monster siege missions. Why bother making an excuse? Your shop's Black Iron Knight sword is sold out. Please restocked. Your shop's military spears are sold out. Please restocked. Your world shop's military small round shield is sold out. Please restocked. Please replenish your stock for your global stores. Holy crap, I watched some regional channel content. One notification after another appeared. Equipment for both the regional channel and the world channel has sold out. I immediately opened the shop and took a look. The remaining equipment, even arrows, is dwindling rapidly. After accumulating resources, all transmigrators began an explosive procurement spree. Fang Hao immediately restocked all the equipment and armor in the warehouse and increased the quantity, which kept the shop selling. Looking at it this way, being number one in the world actually has its advantages. At least the shop is very famous. Once this quest was released, a large number of transmigrators came to me to buy equipment and items. After handling the shop matters, Fang Hao then opened the territory channel to take a look. They were also discussing the mission, but it wasn't as intense. After completing a few tasks, they shouted that the mission had appeared. They then started talking about forming a team. People within the territory channel are generally more trustworthy and less likely to stab you in the back. Many people's cities are very close to each other, which makes it suitable for forming teams. Fight! A private message notification suddenly sounded. It's Dong Jieyue. Yes, they're also helping Amanda clean up the surrounding town in Upper St. Golden City. Upon opening it, one sees Dong Jieyue's question. Brother Hao, what do we do? Oh, I'll pick you all up, Fang Hao said. This is ridiculous. The mission came suddenly, and they were still over there. There was a brief pause on the other end, and after about 10 minutes, Dong Jieyue replied, Brother Hao, we've discussed it. This area is large, and there aren't many transmigrators yet. We'll stay and explore the ancient ruins to avoid having to compete with others when we get back. Kindness. That makes sense. The people over there have all been killed, so the area is indeed quite empty. Besides Amanda's territory, Lorana's Huiwa Highlands also have considerable land area, but few transmigrators. Fang Hao thought about it and agreed, replying, Okay, let Amanda provide you with some troops so you can explore over there. Understood, Brother Hao. Dong Jieyue continued. Be careful. If it's too difficult, just let it go. With the territory strength, a few more missions won't make a difference. Fang Hao reminded him. Okay, I understand. I ended my chat with Dong Jieyue. Fang Hao went back to the territory channel. Everyone is looking for their own teams, or forming exploration teams led by certain individuals. But it's also quite obvious. Transmigrators who previously participated in battles and were rewarded with command of the skeleton soldiers. They are highly sought after, and everyone wants to team up with them. Fang Hao gave a brief instruction in the group chat, and then stopped paying attention. The chat ended. I enjoyed the warmth of Xiao Bai's embrace for a while. Pull up your pants. He took the two women back to their room and went upstairs. After all, we have to start the mission tomorrow. The next day, early morning. Range. There are 2 hours left before the mission begins. Fang Hao held a book in one hand, with a slight sheen of sweat on his forehead. 500 meters in front of him was a mannequin wearing protective gear and a helmet. He stood there, stunned. That's not right. I followed the instructions in the book to condense the energy, so why isn't it working? He flipped through several pages in a row, starting to look for the cause of the problem he was encountering and began to investigate. After investigation, it seems that some reasons for the inability to release have been found. After thinking for a moment, his gaze returned to the wooden target in front of him. Condensing magic. Call. A piercing wail came from ahead. From beneath the wooden target, sinister ghostly figures darted out. The ghostly figure quickly clung to the wooden target, binding it tightly. Unlock skill. Lingering spirits. It was a success. Fang Hao was suddenly overjoyed. Although learning magic requires self-study, once it is cast, it will be recorded and become one's own skill. Lingering spirits. Inflicts the lingering spirits effect on up to 500 enemy units. Affected units have their movement reduced by 50% and their attack reduced by 10. Living beings units have a 10% chance to inflict negative effects such as fear, confusion, and collapse, lasting up to 180 seconds. Fang Hao nodded in satisfaction after seeing the skill description. In fact, the effects of the skills are all recorded in the book. Dark Group Magic. After release, it inflicts the possessed by a ghost effect on enemies. These 500 units are calculated based on distance, meaning that the 500 closest enemy units will be affected by lingering spirits. No matter how many people there are, it won't work. Go and move all the wooden targets out of the warehouse, Fang Hao ordered. The undead skeletons immediately sprang into action, taking out all the wooden targets from the warehouse. There are more than 200 of them, scattered in front of you. Fang Hao continued to release, with a whoosh. An even louder wail erupted as all the wooden targets were simultaneously enveloped and entangled by ghostly spirits. The effect is pretty good. Have the skeleton collect all the wooden targets. Fang Hao continued to the witchcraft chamber, the building for skill upgrades. Open the building. The countdown to the last upgrade is still ongoing. Bone manipulation technique. 191 hours and 32 minutes. Divine descent. 45 hours 02 minutes. Divine descent is almost over. Remember to come back and collect your descent when the time comes. At the same time, the Lingering Spirits skill is also displayed in the list of buildings. Lingering Spirits. Shadowstone 22, Mana Essence 8, Skeleton Soldiers 80, Warfire Coin 1200. The consumption was quite high. The bone manipulation technique has been upgraded twice, but neither upgrade has been as significant as its first iteration. But there's nothing to hesitate about. Money is just an external thing. Skills are what you truly own. Upgrade confirmed immediately. The building was illuminated again, signaling the countdown. The soul that never disperses. 167 hours and 59 minutes. At this moment, several heroes walked over quickly. Dimitrikus said, "My lord, the troops are ready and can be mobilized at any time." Fang Hao glanced at the large gold watch on his wrist. Yes, no rush. There's still some time. On the day of grace, the quest begins. A system notification sounded. In an instant, a streak of colorful light flashed across the sky and disappeared in a flash. Fang Hao immediately checked the map and found that the areas highlighted on the map had special markers. Historical site. They were scattered haphazardly around the perimeter of the territory. Come on, follow me. Fang Hao flipped himself onto the bone dragon. With Dimitrika and Njia in tow, they headed north of the city. Bone Dragon flew for about 20 minutes. We were already close to the vicinity of the ancient site. Meanwhile, below, they saw Petty, the chieftain of the pig people, leading nearly 100 orc soldiers hurriedly heading north. They stopped midway, and Fang Hao asked, "Petty, what are you all doing here?" "My lord, someone has discovered a cluster of collapsed buildings and enemies near the Bloody Mountains. I am planning to lead my troops there." She was probably referring to the same location as the historical site she was looking for. Fang Hao, still seated on the bone dragon, said directly, "The rest of you don't need to go. Petty, come on up and come with me to take a look." Petty glanced back and then gave a brief explanation to the soldier behind him. He then climbed onto the back of the bone dragon and sat on the saddle behind it. Petty has now reached tier 7 and possesses considerable combat power. Once settled, Bone Dragon pushed off with its feet. Its body then rose from the ground once more, flying towards the target point. This time it only lasted 5 or 6 minutes. From the air, Fang Hao had already seen the ancient ruins that had suddenly appeared. The sizable ruins, lying prostrate in the mud, the collapsed arched bridge, and the ancient castle piled with rubble, all stand out starkly against their surroundings. It looked as if a piece had been cut off somewhere and pasted directly onto this area. In the ruins, one can see wandering figures, aimless, his movements stiff as a rotting corpse. Bone Dragon landed immediately upon approaching. The group entered the area on foot. The ground, which was originally covered with mud and weeds, was paved with yellowish-brown bricks on one side. The bricks and stones have become mottled and worn due to the erosion and sandification over time. "Are these alive or dead?" And Jia asked softly. Ahead, several figures were wandering back and forth. Ancient Ruins Guard, Tier 8. The guards are mainly divided into 3 categories: shield and sword warriors, spearmen, and crossbowmen. They patrolled in groups of 3, following an orderly route. It looks exactly like a human, but its movements are stiff and its face is expressionless, making it more like a dead and resurrected rotting corpse. Looking past the guards in front and into the interior, there were quite a few scattered enemies. There are at least several hundred people. With so many people, even if it were a welfare mission, it would be very difficult for ordinary transmigrators to break in. They're called the Ancient Ruins Guard, an 8th tier unit. Fang Hao replied. What do we do? Charge in. We don't need you. Fang Hao said. Condensing magic. Call. The next second, 2 huge stone pillars covered with intricate patterns appeared in front of everyone, and then unfolded like a scroll. This formed a massive stone gate that distorted space. Through the stone gate, what lies behind is no longer the original forest, but a dimly lit Hidden Arms Cave. Hidden Arms Cave is filled with skeleton soldiers. Fang Hao felt his magic power draining away and immediately said, Kill. Kill all the enemies ahead. The words had barely left his mouth. Splash. The skeleton soldiers inside the stone gate immediately sprang into action. They swarmed out of the stone gate and began to rush into the interior of the ancient site. The ancient site guardians patrolling along the designated route heard the commotion below and turned around in confusion. Then a large number of skeletons rushed up the stone steps, as if they had gone mad, swarming towards this side. Just as the 3 men formed their battle formation, an archer fired an arrow. They were overwhelmed and submerged by the hordes of the dead, like waves of the sea. A low, mournful horn sounded from within the ancient ruins. All the ancient ruins guardians were ready for battle, but the horde of undead, like an all-pervasive flood, kept spreading upwards, until all the enemies are overwhelmed. About half an hour later, the entire arena fell silent instantly, and the skeletons stood still, entering standby mode. Fang Hao also knew that the battle was over, and Jia, Petty, organized the skeletons to clean up the battlefield. Dimitrika, come with me inside to take a look. Yes. The group divided the tasks and began to get started, and Jia and Petty began organizing the skeletons to clean up the battlefield. These ancient guardians had dropped some items. Fang Hao led Dimitrika uphill. They went straight into the stone fortress. The arched stone gate of stone fortress is somewhat dilapidated and weathered. The cracks and fallen pebbles made it seem as if it could collapse at any moment. Fang Hao glanced at it, but ultimately went inside. The stone fortress is quite spacious, with a tall stone platform in the center. On the stone platform, there is a clay statue with half of its head missing. Around the neck of the clay statue hung a pendant covered in dust. Radiant King's Amulet, orange. Category, Amulet. Ability, increases damage reduction by 50% when in sunlight. Description, relics of a once powerful dynasty, scattered across various regions. Orange pendant. This surprised Fang Hao. In this world, orange equipment is already considered top-tier equipment. If a king or leader of a faction has 1 or 2 pieces of orange equipment, it can be regarded as a national treasure or a family heirloom. Among the equipment, accessories with special attributes are even rarer than weapon armor. Each one of them can fetch an astronomical price. Now, Fang Hao has acquired another item. Look, is there anything else in the hall? Fang Hao said to the person next to him. Good. The two separated and began to examine the empty, dimly lit hall. Soon, the sound of heavy objects scraping against the ground could be heard. Dimitrika walked over, dragging a red treasure chest. Fang Hao was overjoyed. There was also a treasure chest. I was about to open it when I saw the attributes, and my hand stopped moving. Resources chest. Description, once activated, you will receive resource rewards, including but not limited to materials for building, forging, and food. Resources chest, not equipment chest. This cannot be activated yet. If it is activated, a large amount of materials will appear. We also need to arrange for people to move it. Suppressing the urge to open the treasure chest, I stored the resources treasure chest in my storage space. Remove the pendant from the clay statue again. The two then walked outside. Outside Stone Fortress, and Jia and Petty had finished cleaning up the battlefield and were chatting together. Seeing Fang Hao approaching, they went to greet him together. Petty said, Sir, we have collected over 1,000 pieces of equipment, but they are all severely corroded and damaged. Are there any bodies? There were no corpses. After the enemy died, their bodies quickly decomposed and disappeared, leaving only their equipment and these blueprint fragments, Petty continued. Fang Hao took it and examined it. The Guardian's sword, broken blueprint brass shield of the guard. Description, collect 10 tattered blueprints to obtain the complete blueprint. The fragments can be combined to create a complete blueprint. So this quest forces transmigrators to clear out the mobs outside. Only after it's cleared can you obtain the corresponding blueprint. Otherwise, you might get 1 or 2 fragments, which are of no use whatsoever. How many have we collected? There are 10 of each type. Leave it to me. Petty handed over all the blueprints to Fang Hao. Complete blueprint for Guardian Sword. Complete blueprint for crafting the Guardian Brass Shield. With a flash of light, the tattered blueprint transformed into 2 complete blueprints. Blueprint, blue. The Sword of the Guardians. Guardian Brass Shield blueprint, blue. It's all blue. Fang Hao felt it was a bit of a pity. I added blueprint to my library, but didn't look into it further. Reopen the dimensional gate, which is covered with intricate symbols, and command the surrounding undead. Take all of this equipment and return to Hidden Arms Cave. Splash. The skeletons began to move again. Clutching the armor and swords they had looted, they re-entered Hidden Arms Cave. It disappeared very quickly. Let's go. Get on the bone dragon and continue to the next location. The group boarded the bone dragon and soared into the sky once more. In the regional channel. Damn it. What kind of enemy is this? They're so fierce and they even know tactics. My troops had just charged in when they were wiped out by the enemy. Are these enemies cursed? I lost some men in the first wave, and when I led my troops back, I found that those enemies had changed into the equipment I dropped. What's going on? They traveled all that way just to give away a bunch of experience points. Damn it. Quick, let's team up. I'm near Cold Fong Mountain. Any brothers want to team up? Looking for teammates in Burial Valley. Brothers nearby are teaming up, but we're one short. We prefer someone with good ranged attacks. We're one short, looking for a partner. Fang Hao sat on the bone dragon, watching the chat in the regional channel. The reward looks great, but the difficulty is actually quite high. Just like the Guardian army that Fang Hao just dealt with, several hundred tier 8 soldiers. They also have tactical coordination. Most transmigrators would just be easy prey if they went there. But the danger wasn't actually that great. I didn't see anyone mention enemies rushing out of the ancient ruins to chase after us. If you can't beat them, teaming up is also a good option. Continue by opening the territory channel. There were also many complaints, but it was difficult to voice them, and the losses were severe. Fortunately, there were many familiar people in the territory, so everyone was able to find a team and form one quickly. Fang Hao thought about it and realized that this opportunity was indeed rare. Then enter it in the territory channel. If you can't beat them, register with your respective lord to receive this stone golem construct in advance to help you in the battle. If you want to pay, you can buy it at the price after the mission is over. Stone golem construct, although it is of the 5th order. However, they are tough and have high magic resistance, making them excellent tank options. It is also very suitable for use in this situation. Thank you, boss. Yay, thanks, boss. One after another, words of thanks were heard. As they approached the second ancient site, Fang Hao closed Lord's book. It fell from a distance. Fang Hao looked at the enemy in the ancient ruins. Cavalry, Tier 8. This is a relatively spacious area. A few trees grow scattered around. The core building of the ancient site behind it is not the stone fortress, but rather a circular dome covered with red and green patterns. They are usually Orc Chief's Hall. The unit type is the Tier 8 Cavalry. It is a type of Orc called Cavalry, who wears plate armor and rides a rhinoceros-like animal. It has a low chassis and an exceptionally robust and muscular build. Fang Hao glanced at it from afar, opened the dimensional gate directly, and a large number of undead rushed out from inside. They began their assault on the core building. Cavalry, the savage rhinoceros, roared angrily and charged at the undead, raising its mace. This aura is even more ferocious than the ancient ruins guardians from before. Bang, bang, bang. A dull thud sounded as if something collided. The rhinoceros was as ferocious as a crashed truck, with the accelerator floored, constantly sending skeletons flying into the air. They forcefully carved out roads one by one. Fang Hao and his companions were somewhat surprised to see this scene. That rhinoceros is fierce. Even ordinary horses couldn't travel this far against such a dense horde of undead. This rhinoceros mount was already incredibly powerful, and it was impossible to withstand its attack. Soldier had already been killed by the undead, but the rhinoceros continued to charge forward. As a herd of cavalry rhinos charged toward them, their bodies covered in piles of skulls, they came into view. Dimitrika and Njia immediately stood in front of Fang Hao to protect him. They planned to meet the enemy head-on. No rush, let me test my skills, Fang Hao said, and then he conjured his skills. The next second, a series of eerie, ghostly figures climbed up the cavalry rhinoceros. It tightly wrapped around the mount and cavalry's body. Cavalry, whose momentum was almost exhausted, stopped in his tracks as the undead from all sides completely overwhelmed him as he rushed into the area. Keep moving forward. Fang Hao continued, issuing the order. After clearing out cavalry, the undead continued their attack inward. The scattered orc warriors and archers showed no defensive capability against the overwhelming number of undead. They were quickly overwhelmed by the undead, their bodies reduced to piles of mud by the chaotic hacking. And Jia, Petty, clean up the battlefield. Dimitrika, let's go in. After saying that, he led Dimitrika into the core building of the center. This place is more like a chief's hall. Inside the empty hall, the light was still dim. A bluish-gray carpet stretched across the ground, and on the stone platform in the middle was a deer-head clay statue, with a pair of antlers with branches and flowers on the forehead of the statue. Like a pair of corals, strange yet full of beauty. Deer spirit antler, purple. Category, items. Ability, intelligence enhancement plus 5%. Description, a pair of antlers left behind when the deer spirit king falls. Only effective when placed in a city. Purple's props, but the effect was still very good. I've encountered the ability to enlighten before. It's about making the people in the territory smarter and more able to learn and understand new knowledge. Currently, it can be placed in the main city, since maids are training every day and are still learning arithmetic from Yui. With this, the school's efficiency has been boosted. Once the school is built, it can be placed there. It's a pity that its effect is limited to one city. If it were used across the entire territory, it could definitely reach the orange level. Dimitrika has brought another resources chest. Fang Hao directly stored both types of items in his storage space. Step outside the building. And Jia and her two daughters had already cleaned up the battlefield. Petty said directly, Sir, besides various equipment, there are also blueprint fragments and these shepherd's flutes. Fang Hao accepted them all. The synthesized blueprint, called Beast Tooth Nailhead Hammer, is still a blue blueprint. That is, the weapon used by those cavalry rhinos. When it hits someone, it makes a thumping sound. It seems that the blueprints collected are mostly blue-themed. Fang Hao then looked at the shepherd's flute. Ironclad rhinoceros, flute. Category, shepherd's flute. Description, the first time you blow the whistle, you can summon an armored rhinoceros. After that, each time you blow the whistle, you can summon an armored rhinoceros to your side. For the first time you blow the whistle, make sure that the armored rhinoceros can reach the desired location. This wasn't his first encounter with the shepherd's flute. Last time, I summoned the four-legged giant lizard through the shepherd's flute. The four-legged giant lizard is characterized by its amphibious nature. This armored rhinoceros actually has its own unique characteristics. Good physical strength and great power. It's the perfect mount for charging. Fang Hao counted the number of shepherd's flutes and found exactly 125, a pretty good haul. Reopen the dimensional gate and let all the remaining skeletons return. Open the map again to see the location of the next historical site. Locations surrounding the main city. There are only 2 historical sites, the closest one on the west side, which is also close to the city of Zhongbin. Zhongbin will likely lead troops there to clear it out. Fang Hao moved the map again and selected the bloody mountains of the trolls, where there were no transmigrators. After determining the location, teleport directly to the troll capital city, then ride the bone dragon to travel there. Minimize the time spent on the road. 8 p.m. The day of grace has ended. As the notification sounded, the ancient site that had just been explored was revealed. It collapsed instantly, turning into a complete ruin. The loud crashing sound startled Fang Hao and the others. Are you out of your mind? You didn't get killed by the monster, but you crushed you to death after the mission ended. So you're just wasting your time. Fang Hao turned around and cursed. If someone happens to be in the core building taking treasures during this time, wouldn't they be buried alive? Open the dimensional gate and send all units back. Fang Hao also released the teleportation light screen and, along with Dimitrika and the others, returned directly to the main city. They walked out of the light curtain. Fang Hao said, Petty, let Jia show you around the city first. After dinner, I'll take you back. The group has been busy since 8 o'clock in the morning. Petty was following along the whole time. Sending them back directly would be too unreasonable. If Petty were to starve herself further, she wouldn't be as cute as she is now. Thank you, sir, Petty said. And Jia acted as a guide, showing Petty around the city. This is Petty's first time in the main city, and the environment there is now very nice. It's no exaggeration to call it a large park. After the group left, Fang Hao began sorting through today's spoils. We conquered a total of 6 historical sites and obtained 6 rewards of good quality. Radiant King's Amulet. Orange increases damage reduction by 50% under sunlight. Deer Spirit Antler, purple intelligence enhancement plus 5%. Prisoner's binding belt, orange of binding shackle that can bind heroes of orange rank or higher. Bound targets cannot communicate or gather any form of power. Takes 5 seconds to take effect. Fly jar, purple especially crafted magical container. Opening the jar allows you to command a swarm of poisonous flies to attack a target. It can only recognize 2 commands, attack or return. The flies can be fed rotten flesh. Invigorating incense burner. Purple provides a concentrating incense effect without the need for burning incense. Giant stone club, purple level 4 weapon damage. Each attack inflicts a frostbite effect. 6 types of rewards. Each one is a normal weapon device. The first 2 Radiant Monarch Amulet and Deer Spirit Horn are actually pretty good rewards. But the last 4, obtained in the Bloody Mountains, just don't seem right. Prisoner's restraints look somewhat like the straps used to restrain mentally ill people and are made of metal and leather. I tried it with a skeleton before. Once the target is bound, their joints will be restricted in the opposite direction, making it impossible for them to break free. Even when ordered to break free, the skeleton did not escape its restraints. It's quite a shackle. The fly pot is a grayish-brown earthenware jar. When opened, swarms of black insects fly out and attack their target. The effect is similar to the insect control technique of the Aburame clan in Naruto, but with swarms of insects buzzing around your ears. He wasn't as handsome as he appeared on TV. I just felt a strange sense of unease. The invigorating incense burner emits a calming fragrance as soon as it is turned on, which is quite practical. The giant stone club is a huge stone club covered in runes, and its size makes it suitable for trolls. After reviewing the main rewards, Fang Hao took out all the resource chests. Open them one by one. Get tough wood 220, ironwood 50, fine stone bricks 180, fine stone bricks 32, fine iron 42, mana essence 5. Obtained 180 tough wood, 38 ironwood, 180 fine stone bricks, 5 glazed tiles, 3 rich essence, 2 spiritual traces. Get within the regional channel. By this time, the place had been completely blown up. Everyone was discussing today's tasks. Damn, it's finally over. This mission was too hard. I finally have a recruitment ticket. I'm going to have a hero. No, you all succeeded? Am I the only one who lost troops and still hasn't made it? If you can't beat them, why don't you team up? That's amazing. I just watched the World Channel. Aragon, who are second in the league, have taken over 3 ancient sites with the help of the dragons and are starting to advertise for their alliance again. To be honest, they are really fierce. I wonder how many Fang Hao can take down. The second one is already 3, so there must be even more big shots. It's hard to say. Aragon had the help of the dragons, which is considered cheating. It would be impressive if the top player could achieve 3 on his own. Really, Fang Hao was looking at the chat in the regional channel. I wasn't too surprised. In Transmigrators, the most time-consuming part of exploring ancient sites is the distance traveled, not the battles. Like Aragon, which hired dragons for help. Riding a dragon on a journey involves traversing a vast area. Besides, it's about asking the dragons for help, not commanding them in battle. There is definitely a limitation. He cannot be commanded as freely as his heroes. But being able to capture 3 places already shows that they are quite strong. Fang Hao's method was more direct teleportation. They shortened the time considerably and captured 6 locations. After dinner, we drove Petty back to Pigman Village. Xiaobai's voice could also be heard from upstairs. Master, come on up quickly. Let's deal with Njia together. Hearing the sounds of the others joking around, I went upstairs to rest. The next day, Silverwing City, Chinatown. I heard that during yesterday's mission, Su Haid and Li Rong met on the road and almost got into a fight. I've heard that too. Su Haid has deployed the church's temple army. They're really impressive. So Sisterly got the short end of the stick? Sisterly. How could Su Haid possibly benefit from this? A fat man with a beer belly walked up from behind. Upon hearing that he had news, everyone immediately gathered around him. How so? Let me tell you. Su Haid's people are indeed powerful, and they don't take Sisterly seriously at all. But later, Sisterly pulled out something that completely silenced Su Haid and the church. Can you guess what it was? The group of people were stunned by what they were told. Is Sisterly a man? Damn, what man? Then why did you use the word take it out? The beer-bellied man rolled his eyes at him and continued. Seeing that the other party was deliberately causing trouble, Sisterly had someone lift the cloth on the carriage, revealing several cannons. which immediately stunned Suhaid and his men. Holy crap, Sister Lee has cannon, someone exclaimed. The others were also somewhat surprised. Cannon could be seen from the city wall in Silverwing City. But when I went to do the mission, I was still a little surprised to find that I had several cannons with me. What's so surprising? Sister Lee has several, and they're all the latest technology from the dwarves. Hee. I'm happy to see Suhaid get his comeuppance. Whether this is true or false, I still feel quite relieved. Me too. Main City. Necromancer. Nielsen's loyalty to you has increased by 3 points. Current loyalty is 100. Your hero, Necromancer, Nielsen, has reached 100 points of loyalty and will be unaffected by any forms of alienation, such as espionage or betrayal. I received a system notification as soon as I stepped out of the organ museum. I had funeral priest give the invigorating incense burner I obtained yesterday to Nielsen, and his loyalty finally broke through the final 3 points. It has reached 100. From now on, there's no need to worry about Nielsen being bribed by others. For example, the woman who can manipulate gold. I returned to Lord's Manor in a good mood. I opened Lord's book and made some minor adjustments to the shops in the regional and world channels. The exchange materials for weapon equipment have been updated to include ironwood, fine stone bricks, and glazed tiles. These are all materials that appeared in yesterday's mission, the resources chest. Many people will definitely receive it. I can switch places with them, especially glazed tiles. The normal purchase price is 80 to 120 Warfire coins per piece, but Fang Hao sets the price directly, exchanging 3 pieces for 1 piece of blue equipment. I'm sure we'll be able to collect some. Next, the newly acquired blue blueprints were produced in batches and uploaded to the channel, sold to external parties. With that, the whole morning was gone in a flash. Afternoon, Merchant Alliance, Fire Hammer Shop. Fang Hao looked at the dwarf master opposite him and took out all the materials one by one. In addition to dragon scales, there are other metals such as fine iron and cobalt iron. To enhance the magic, there are also materials that can guide magic, such as mana essence and essence of destruction. As agreed, Fang Hao should have delivered the materials to the dwarf master yesterday, but a task suddenly came up, and it was postponed by a day. In reality, customizing a piece of armor can be quite costly. If it weren't for the fact that you happen to have dragon scales, there would really be no need to spend so much time and money to specially customize equipment. After all, the main battles were fought by ordinary undead. With that money, you could get a mass-produced blueprint. That would be even better. But now that we've come this far, we still have to spend the money. Master Brimstone nodded, personally counted the quantity, and said, "Don't worry, I'll save the remaining dragon scales for you to use in your traps, so don't fret." The precious materials are also rare treasures. Some customers inevitably assume that during the forging process, the craftsman might cut corners and keep the materials for their own use. Of course, this kind of thing is not uncommon. I naturally trust the character of a master. Not everyone has achieved what you have. Ha, you have a nice voice. I like it. Brimstone laughed heartily. It was as if Fang Hao's words had struck a chord with him. Fang Hao chuckled twice and asked, "Master, approximately how long will it take to complete?" "It will take at least half a month, even with my help. Of course, I will try to speed things up as much as possible. Once it's almost finished, bring a second person over so I can measure the equipment dimensions for him," the master replied, taking a sip of his drink. Fang Hao had no choice but to ask someone to build the equipment. He could only nod and say, "All right, I'll wait for your message, master." "Okay, if you need anything, just come to this fire hammer shop and bring this badge. Someone will greet you." The dwarf handed Fang Hao a badge that looked like a flame or a beard. "Okay, master, then I won't bother you any longer." After the conversation, they left the fire hammer shop. Succubus Hut. Demon Lord's sister, a human with demon materials, has come to the shop. Little Succubus rushed open the door and began to speak. The Demon Lord and the Succubus raised an eyebrow. "They've arrived already?" "Alone?" the Demon Lord asked softly. There was also a lizard man. The two of them were in the private room on the 2nd floor, and they ordered food. The Demon Lord gently touched his forehead with his index finger and said, "Give them 2 dream contracts." "Yes, Demon Lord's sister." Inside the private room, Fang Hao ordered food and planned to have dinner here. Succubus Hut was rather deserted today. It seems there's been some kind of competition being held in the central square, and many people have gone there to watch the excitement. The shop was surprisingly empty. Knock knock. There was a gentle knock on the door. A succubus, dressed in a seductive manner, swayed her hips as she entered. A heart-shaped opening at the lower abdomen reveals a fair, round belly, which looks quite cute. Gentlemen, you've made 5 purchases at our store, so we're giving you a special dream contract to enjoy our dream entering services, little succubus said, giving a flirty wink. Dream contract? What does that mean? The succubus half squatted to the side, took out 2 contracts, and said, "This is the kind of guest you are. As you know, we are succubi, and we have the ability to enter dreams. We can fulfill your requests by constructing dreams." Similar descriptions can be found in human books. Victims in their sleep gradually succumb to their inner desires for darkness, indulging in previously suppressed taboos and desires. A demon skilled at entering dreams will continuously amplify the victim's fantasies of this desire, lure them to achieve their ultimate goal. This passage describes how succubi use dreams to bewitch other races. Under the constraints of the Merchant Alliance, white succubus turned this capability into a business. By entering dreams, one can temporarily fulfill some desires that cannot be achieved in reality. The succubus continued, "Sir, whether you wish to become a king and possess power, defeat an invincible enemy, or meet the woman you love, you can fulfill your desires in your dreams." Dimitrika stood to the side, expressionless. Fang Hao was genuinely surprised. He hadn't realized it could be done this way. This is just surfing the internet. In the online world, one can achieve spiritual fulfillment. Whether it's a shooting game or raising a virtual girlfriend, both can be accomplished. To be honest, Fang Hao still found it quite interesting. "Thank you. Let's discuss it. Can I give you an answer after we finish eating?" Fang Hao said with a smile. "Yes, sir." Little succubus smiled sweetly, placed the 2 contracts on the table, and turned to leave. Fang Hao looked at the contents of the contract. This is the Merchant Alliance contract, which outlines the terms and conditions for both parties. Basically, the succubus cannot cause any mental harm to the guest while in a dream. As for the guests, they should not make any excessive moves. Fang Hao glanced at it briefly and didn't think there was anything wrong with it. Soon, there was another knock on the door. The food we ordered was all brought to the table. He set the contract aside and chatted with Dimitrika while eating. Activity Plaza. The spacious circular plaza was now filled with people. People of all races gathered here, their eyes fixed on the 2 figures, one large and one small, in the center. The Drunken Master Challenge. The troll hero Amidst challenges the champion of the drunken contest, the dragon hero Bait. If the challenge is successful, the troll, Amidst, will become the new champion. Inherit the champion's title, along with the champion's privileges in tavern. One big and one small, one black and one white. The 2 stood in the middle of the square, each holding a wine barrel as tall as a person. He held it above his head and gulped it down. Behind the 2, there were even more empty barrels. "How many buckets have they drunk?" a newly arrived undead asked softly. The orc beside him replied, "The 8th barrel." The undead nodded. 8 barrels, not bad. Back when I was still alive, my alcohol tolerance wasn't any worse than theirs." The orcs and humans around him looked at him, shook their heads, and looked on incredulously. At this moment, some people who didn't know much about the situation came over. He asked curiously, "Who is that human girl? She's quite impressive to be able to drink with a troll for so long." "Humans? Those are dragons." The undead glanced back and continued, "Let me give you a piece of advice. Humans should never participate in this kind of competition. It will only make you die sooner." The game continued on the field. To fill the boredom of drinking, there were also some small activities in between, such as a darts competition and a quick Q&A session, to test the 2 people's level of sobriety. The noise in the square had no impact on the shops on Commercial Street. No matter how lively the atmosphere, sound cannot travel that far. After Fang Hao and Dimitrika signed a contract, little succubus delivered 2 more sheets of paper. "Gentlemen, you can choose the type of dream you wish to enter here," little succubus explained with a smile, still kneeling to the side. "There are only a few types of dreams: rights, wealth, social status, love, and others. Aside from the previous options, the others are simply your own wishes. For example, to make up for one's own shortcomings, or to meet with deceased relatives." Little succubus recommended either power or rank to the 2 men, which is the most popular choice for men. Fang Hao smiled, indicating his agreement with little succubus's suggestion. But looking at the paper in his hand, he hesitated slightly. According to a lord with a broad mind and who occupies a large territory, the content of the dream should be about expanding territory or becoming an emperor or god. But Fang Hao felt that all of this was work. "When I'm awake, I'm already struggling with these things. I finally get to have a daydream. Why should I have to worry about these things? He glanced at it slightly to the side before Dimitrika closed the paper. The name written on it is that of lizard folk, Queen Anastasia. Goodness, Dimitrika has really set his sights on them. You'll be together in a few days, so why are you filling in the Queen's name now? Isn't that a waste of a spot? If you're going to fill in something completely unrelated. With a few quick swishes, Fang Hao wrote down a name while Dimitrika was also peeking at him. It was handed directly to Little Succubus. What's next? Fang Hao continued to ask. Little Succubus still had a slight smile on his face. Sir, it's still early. You two can take a stroll around the city and come back to check in later. Okay, sure, Fang Hao agreed. The two returned to the main city. When I returned, the moon was already high in the sky. They settled into their respective rooms. The room was large and decorated in a nice atmosphere. In the separate bathroom, the bathtub was already filled with bathwater, and some flower petals were floating in it. The rising heat made the bathroom feel hazy. This succubus hut is really thoughtful. They even prepared the bathwater. Fang Hao took off his clothes and went straight into the bathtub. He hadn't taken a bath in one of these tubs in a long time since he got hot spring. The main problem is the inconvenience. You have to ask someone to boil water, which isn't as convenient as hot spring. Enjoying the comforting feeling brought by hot water. While opening the Lord's book, check the regional channel. In the channel, everyone's chat content was still about yesterday's tasks. Besides exchanging some of the spoils they obtained, this also caused some problems. Conflict. The locations where those historical sites are refreshed are mostly in the middle of two or several cities. This inevitably leads to several transmigrators simultaneously attacking the same location. It's alright if it's within the same region, since everyone is already looking for team members. But things aren't so friendly in the border areas. We have seen many people clashing with foreign transmigrators. It has even implicated the League. This system task is really wicked. It seems to be intentionally provoking conflict, Fang Hao said, closing the Lord's book, resting his head on the edge of the bathtub, and contemplating with his eyes closed. The battle at the border could very well draw in all the alliances. This led to regional wars. This is going to be difficult. Things haven't been calm for more than a few days, and now chaos is brewing again. I soaked it for a while. Fang Hao put his bathrobe back on and was about to go out when he heard the door open. Then came another rustling sound. He frowned, put on the weapon, and slowly walked out. We entered the bedroom. Then they saw a silver-haired girl with dragon horns lying on the bed, fast asleep. On the floor beside the bed, her clothes, which she had just taken off, were scattered. Fang Hao frowned. Entering a dream so quickly? The smell of alcohol permeated the air. There's still a storyline? The effect of entering the dream still surprised Fang Hao quite a bit. It's seamless. It starts before you even realize you've fallen asleep. Furthermore, a special storyline was arranged for the request. Soft moonlight streamed in through the window. Silver Dragon lay there, his skin as smooth as a white python, faintly glowing with a fine sheen. Succubus hut, in a room in the backyard. The Demon Lord frowned as he looked at the accounts in his hand. This year's drinking contest has generated considerable buzz, but it has also consumed more alcohol than in previous years. Who would have thought that dragons would participate in such an event? She's still a young girl, yet she loves wine so much. It will probably take a long time to recoup the money invested this time. Thump, thump, thump. A rapid knocking sounded at the door. This interrupted the beautiful Demon Lord's thoughts. Come in, said the pleasant yet somewhat serious voice. The door opened, and little Succubus strode in, carrying 2 contracts. Sister Demon Lord, we can't enter the dream with that human and the lizard man, little Succubus said urgently. Unable to fall asleep? Yes, little Succubus said, bowing his head. A succubus's ability to enter a dream does not require the target to fall asleep. Some people with low mental strength can even enter a dream state while fully awake. The contract has been signed, and I'm ready. It's rare that it can't enter a dream. What scene did they choose? The Demon Lord continued to ask. Love. The Demon Lord smiled. But it's normal to choose this if it's your first time. Who were you chosen? The lizard man chose Anastasia, the queen of the Southlands, while the humans chose Bait, the dragon. Bait, that little dragon girl. The Demon Lord looked surprised. She was just thinking that Bait had spent a lot of money on her. There are actually humans who like her. What kind of quirk is this? Do you enjoy being dominated and ravaged by powerful women? Yes. I filled it out after seeing the poster on the wall, little Succubus said. In the room, there was a poster of the winner of the Bait Drunkard contest. The Demon Lord was slightly taken aback, then laughed. I wondered what the reason was. but it turns out he didn't have any specific goal and just randomly picked one. Bring me the contract and let me see it. Which room are these two in? This time, the dream entry was targeted at these two individuals. It was also her plan, intending to find out some information related to Dust Mud Valley from the dream. But now the contract has been signed, yet I can't enter the dream. I'm missing the final step. Little Succubus handed the contract to the Demon Lord. 207 and 208. The latter took it, closed his eyes on the bed, and personally entered the dream state. The next second, her eyes snapped open, unable to fall asleep. I tried a second one. This time a lizard man won, but the result was the same. Sister Demon Lord, can't you do it either? Little Succubus said softly. The Demon Lord narrowed his eyes slightly. What treasures are you carrying? Are you here to cause trouble? They signed a contract and even brought treasures with them. They can only be here to cause trouble. Then what should we do? The Demon Lord thought for a moment, then shook his head and said, since they don't want to enter my dream, let's not worry about it. Bring them to see me tomorrow morning. Oh well, early morning. Fang Hao woke up from his sleep. He frowned slightly at the mess on the ground and the little dragon still fast asleep in his arms. Is this dream still going on? Wrong. My heart tightened. He closed his eyes and focused his mental energy, then opened them in surprise. This is not a dream, but reality. Hesitantly, he reached out and pinched her cheek. The little female dragon murmured something, then turned to the other side and continued to snore. Damn it, we've been sent to the tiger's den. Fang Hao jumped out of bed. He took out the Thunder Eagle blade and looked warily at the sleeping silver-haired dragon girl. The feud between him and the dragons actually stemmed from this dragon girl. If you kill the dragon girl now and take her body away, it was a relief to finally vent my anger. However, looking at her sleeping soundly, he raised the heavy sword high in his hand, but it remained suspended in the air without being swung down. He really couldn't bring himself to do it. It's still a bit hard to bring myself to kill someone right after pulling up my pants. Knock knock. A soft knock sounded on the door, and Dimitrika's voice came through. Sir, the owner of Succubus Hut requests your presence. Fang Hao glanced at the dragon girl again, still fast asleep. How much alcohol did they drink? Tell them to wait a moment. I'll be out after I've finished washing up, Fang Hao said, pointing towards the door. He sheathed his heavy sword and quickly cleaned up the traces in the room. I confirmed that I had not left any information about myself. Then he pushed open the door and went out. At the entrance, Dimitrika and little Succubus stood at the door waiting. This room looks like it has excellent soundproofing. What happens inside is very difficult to detect from the outside. In such situations, the sound insulation is usually quite good. Fang Hao said to little Succubus, I'll book this room for another day. You don't need to worry about it. Just don't go in casually. Yes, sir. Little Succubus nodded first, then continued. Sir, my shop owner would like to see you. Dimitrika just mentioned it. It's clear that the other party didn't have any particular intentions. Otherwise, they wouldn't have waited until daytime to extend the invitation. Lead the way. This way, please. Only after passing through the building did I discover that there was a backyard. The entire tavern is divided into front and back buildings. It has a structure somewhat like a two-courtyard house. Inside the room, it exudes a faint, pleasant fragrance. Opposite the two sat a mature succubus with an extremely beautiful appearance. She wore a dark blue robe, a golden flower crown, and a long, thin succubus tail hanging down to her side. She gives off an impression of being both dignified and noble, yet alluring and seductive. Dream Eater, Yezebeth, Orange Tier 8 Hero. Orange Level 8. Wow, this Merchant Alliance Outpost store is really full of hidden talents. Fang Hao carefully examined the succubus hero before him. Perhaps it was because I rode a dragon all night. The succubus before me was incredibly alluring, but I didn't feel much of an urge. I apologize to both of you. For some reason, the dream entry attempt last night was unsuccessful. I hope you will understand. The succubus spoke first, her voice clear and melodious. As expected, it didn't work. That dragon girl from last night just got drunk and went into the wrong room. Yes. Fang Hao nodded slightly, his expression unchanged. It's like they're just here to experience it. They don't care if they don't succeed. If I had actually succeeded in entering your dream last night, it might not necessarily have been a good thing. At that time, he and the dragon girl would both be fast asleep on the side. She woke up first, which really puts us in trouble. How could it fail? Fang Hao asked curiously. The succubus looked at him seriously, and sensing that he wasn't deliberately trying to cause trouble, she explained. Do you two have any obstructing items or treasures on you that prevent us from entering your dreams? Fang Hao subconsciously reached for his waist. The light feather short sword has the effect of protecting against curses and abnormal statuses. If entering a dream is considered an abnormal state, then Dimitrika's skill, Ancient Protection, will also be effective in preventing it. It seems that's the reason. Oh, I see. We didn't know that either, since it's our first time here, Fang Hao explained with a smile. This is neither the other party's fault nor one's own. The succubus smiled and nodded, looking at him with her beautiful eyes, and continued, there is actually another matter I would like to ask you both when I invited you here today. Her captivating eyes suddenly became serious. Oh, what is it? Fang Hao asked curiously. I heard you sold some demon materials at the dwarven shop. I'd like to inquire about the origin of these materials, the succubus said. Fang Hao's eyes narrowed slightly. When the demon materials were taken out, a large crowd gathered around. It's not surprising that someone recognized them. Moreover, demons have no influence on this continent, so he doesn't need to worry about demons killing him. Why ask these questions? The succubus leaned back lazily, her body almost bursting forth. Then he said, you've probably heard that we white succubus are descendants of demons, so we pay a lot of attention to things related to demons. Fang Hao nodded and said, my friend accidentally found a demon's camp, and I got some of the materials obtained after the battle. Oh, those ugly monsters didn't escape, did they? The succubus pressed. No, you can rest assured about that. The succubus smiled with relief. That's good. He then continued. This time you were unsuccessful in entering the dream, but the qualification will be reserved for you too. You can come over any time you want to try again. Fang Hao nodded. Okay, if there's nothing else, I won't bother you any longer. The succubus nodded, and Fang Hao and the other person walked out directly. After the two left, succubus demon lord, resting his chin on his hand, was lost in thought. After a while, the door reopened, and a little succubus walked in. The demon lord whispered, go to Dust Mud Valley again and investigate the surrounding transmigrators. Yes, little succubus nodded and left. 100 Cities Federation, Southern Coastal Area. The Shanghai Alliance has disbanded and joined the Fang Hao territory. Bai Xian frowned as he looked at the contents of Lord's book. She just received the news. No wonder there's been no news about the Shanghai Alliance migrating recently. Ma Tianyi stopped looking for help. It turns out they had resolved the matter of the demon. Moreover, after resolving the issue, they directly disbanded the Shanghai Alliance and joined Fang Hao's territory. This is a major event for regional powers. Just how powerful is this Fang Hao? Bai Xian exclaimed, thinking to myself. The voice of Su Yuanhang came from outside the door. Sister Xian, are you there? Su Yuanhang's territory has been abandoned, and he now lives in Bai Xian's territory. Come in. The door opened, and Su Yuanhang walked in. She took out a single-page map and said, Sister Xian, we've investigated and confirmed that this is a deep-sea tomb. The Grace task from the day before yesterday. The Straw Hat Navigation Group Alliance obtained a treasure map. Su Yuanhang and several members of the Alliance followed the treasure map all the way to the sea. During the Grace quest, the Alliance obtains a treasure map. The fact that they still needed to look at the treasure map and continue searching for the treasure surprised by Xian and the others. After all, in the channel, everyone talks about equipment and tool rewards. I didn't see anyone mention that they had a treasure map. Moreover, other people's rewards, like purple, orange, also has a rating system. The treasure map was just a tattered, yellowed piece of paper. Among the members of the Alliance, some with medical backgrounds even recognized it as human scalp. This left everyone in the league feeling rather uneasy. However, Bai Xian and the others were still somewhat curious about this treasure. Such a bizarre reward. At the very least, a treasure trove should offer a purple reward. He then instructed Su Yuanhang and several core members to go and search according to the map. Sure enough, news came today. Bai Xian took the single-page map and devoured it using the Lord's book. The single-page map is integrated with the large map to show the location of the treasure. On a stretch of sea not far away, it happened to be located in the middle of the border between the two sides. Are there any enemies nearby? Bai Xian continued to ask. Some Japanese ships have appeared nearby, seemingly also searching for this location. Moreover, there are many fishmen in the area, making it very dangerous for ships to pass through. Su Yuanhang recounted everything he had discovered. Are those Japanese devils also looking for this treasure trove? This surprised Bai Xian. Did they also obtain a treasure map, or did they learn about this place through other means? In short, this is not good news. This greatly increased the difficulty of finding the treasure. Moreover, there are fishmen nearby. Fishmen and sea creatures do not belong to the same race. Sea creatures possess a complete social order and are one of the major races, while fishmen are more like wild creatures that have grown wildly. Although they also have certain groups and rules, they are closer to a primitive way of order. Their appearance is similar to that of a fish with a human body, and their colors are mostly green and gray. These fishmen have a simple way of dealing with humans. They drill a hole in the bottom of the boat and drown you underwater. Therefore, fishmen pose little threat on land, but are extremely dangerous in the sea. Once they appear, they come in enormous numbers. What's the situation over there now? Bai Xian continued to ask. Su Yuanheng thought for a moment and said, everyone is probing around but not getting close. However, the Japanese have sea creatures on their side. The longer it drags on, the less advantageous it will be for us. Bai Xian frowned, then nodded and said, okay, you take some men and keep an eye on that area while I think about it. Okay. Su Yuanheng nodded and then left the room. Bai Xian also opened the Lord's book, searching for the blueprint within the channel. Even for defense, let alone dealing with fishmen and sea creatures, one must have a ship that cannot be easily breached. Otherwise, they wouldn't even be able to get out of the sea, let alone defend against fishmen or salvage treasures. Similarly, she also felt a sense of anticipation. Does this also represent the location indicated by the treasure map? Hidden treasures of even higher level. Upon returning from Merchant Alliance, Fang Hao was preoccupied with the succubus's visit to him. It's clear that the other party didn't have any obvious malicious intent. But when it comes to himself, he is filled with curiosity, and a very strong one at that. This made him wonder whether the 2 dream entry contracts that were suddenly given to him were actually given as a reward for visiting the store 5 times, or whether they were specially given to them. It's hard to say, but it certainly raises suspicions. Dimitrika returned to her residence. Fang Hao also went to the backyard, lay down on the rocking chair, and continued to daydream. Where did you go last night? A voice asked. And Jiao walked over carrying the chubby, red general. Mentioning last night, the first image that flashed through Fang Hao's mind was a dragon girl who resembled a giant white python. I stayed one night at Merchant Alliance's tavern. Fang Hao replied, then continued. Why didn't you join the training? Oh, the Lion King is training them. And Jia, holding a parrot, sat on his lap. The rattan chair creaked under the weight. Fang Hao hugged her. So you're slacking off. Hee. And Jia chuckled and curled up in his arms. Red General felt unwell and wanted to fly away. After being held down by Jia, he was hit on the head twice. It obediently nestled in her arms and stopped moving around. Fang Hao and Jia said softly, kindness. What is amusement park? And Jia continued to ask, the term amusement park doesn't exist in this day and age, unless you heard it from some transmigrators. Yes, it's a place with many large entertainment facilities, a place for children to have fun. Fang Hao explained after thinking for a moment. What is meant by facilities? It's basically some large machinery and buildings. Fang Hao explained, then asked curiously, where did you hear the term amusement park? And Jia twisted her body and said, from novels. There are things like pirate ships and roller coasters, which look really fun. Fang Hao smiled and patted her head. Those are all for kids. In reality, they're not as exciting as riding the bone dragon. Sitting on the skeleton, it soared into the sky. This feeling is much more exciting than roller coasters or pirate ships. Oh, I was just asking. And Jia replied, then continued lying there without saying anything more. In the afternoon, Fang Hao went to the Coldwind Mountains. After taking a look at the development of Coldwind City, he also made a large number of production tools for the various mining areas. Now, whether it's the Coldwind Mountains or the Bloody Mountains, skeleton miners have replaced ordinary living being miners. Living beings need rest and food, but the dead do not. Once an order is given, as long as things don't fall apart, it will continue to be carried out. It not only increased efficiency, but also saved expenses. After dinner, next to hot spring, a group of rabbit girl fox women dressed in various costumes knelt in a circle, all looking down at Fang Hao. What are you doing? Fang Hao asked, his eyes wide with curiosity. He's lying here killing time. A group of maids rushed in, surrounded him, and stared at him intently. From this perspective, it feels like you're a patient who has just woken up, with a circle of doctors in white coats looking down at you. Maids glanced at each other. Then, one person massaged the left arm, one massaged the right arm, one massaged the shoulder, and 2 people pinched the thighs. There are also fans and fruit feeders. They took meticulous care of her. Chewing on the fruit that had been forced into his mouth, Fang Hao asked in surprise, What are you doing? Did you see my medical records? Or what? Master, we've been training really hard lately. A woman gently lifted his head and placed it on her lap. Another rabbit said, yes, we all got tanned. I don't know how hard it was. My back aches and hurts every day. My tail is losing some hair, so it doesn't look good when I wag it. It's so tiring. Maids have indeed been training hard since winter began. Moreover, it has now become a habit. Train, work, and then continue training. In addition, various props and potions are added. The effect is still significant. Most of them are already at level 7 or 8. Mealy, with her youthful appearance, is probably close to level 10. Listening to the maid's words, Fang Hao understood what they meant. Do you want to go out for a trip? Really, maids used to have holidays, but now they don't even have holidays anymore. If you just want to go out for a stroll, that's fine too. Cough, speak up, what do you want? Fang Hao swallowed the fruit in his mouth and finally had a chance to speak. One of them said, Master, may we make a small request? Tell me about it. The women exchanged glances and whispered, Master, you said you'd build an amusement park. Wouldn't this place be better? Cough, cough. Fang Hao coughed dryly for a while. Amusement park? Holy crap, it must be in Jia's doing. A quick glance around revealed several figures peeking through the crack in the door. Looking into those expectant eyes, Fang Hao hesitated. It seems everyone wants an amusement park, but this isn't something you can just build on a whim. Can an amusement park be built just like that? We don't have any talent in this field here, Fang Hao said, shaking his head. Owner. A chorus of coquettish voices rang in my ears. Fang Hao's body was being pushed around, and above his head were pairs of full breasts swaying back and forth. Ma Tianyi's territory. The hazy moonlight shone down. In the bedroom, Ma Tianyi lay on the bed, already fast asleep. However, it seems that he did not sleep soundly. His brows were furrowed, and beads of sweat had appeared on his forehead. In a dream, Ma Tianyi was surprised to find herself standing in front of Dust Mud Valley. This, Dust Mud Valley, demons? Ma Tianyi panicked and subconsciously thought of demons. The once empty valley suddenly became noisy, as a large number of ugly and ferocious demons appeared. Holy crap, Ma Tianyi stumbled and nearly fell. Looking at the menacing demon, Ma Tianyi felt her legs go weak and her heart race with panic. Someone, please come and save me. Suddenly, he felt something was wrong. These demons weren't wiped out by Fang Hao's undead army. Huh? He suddenly turned around. In the empty rear, hordes of undead appeared once more. Within the legion, a young figure slowly stepped down from the carriage. Upon seeing this figure, Ma Tianyi felt as if she had seen a savior. He staggered and ran back. They breathed a sigh of relief only after entering the undead army's ranks. The undead and demons began to clash head-on. The fighting was exceptionally fierce. Ma Tianyi walked to the rear of the legion, and the figure became clearer and clearer. Fang Hao, you scare me to death. I'm so glad you're here. Ma Tianyi leaned on his knees, panting heavily. A dark corner outside Lord's Manor. A pretty figure slowly emerged from the shadows. She smiled and glanced at the room upstairs. A pair of wings sprouted from its back, and it disappeared into the night sky. Inside the room, Call. Ma Tianyi suddenly woke up from her dream. He touched the sweat on his forehead, somewhat surprised and uncertain. What's going on? This dream is so strange. The next day, early morning, Lord's Manor Hall. Fang Hao looked down at the blacksmith, stone carver, and goldsmith. Then I glanced at Jia and maids, who were standing to the side with expectant faces. He asked softly, I'd like to build an amusement park on a vacant lot outside the city. Is there any way to do that? The 3 craftsman team leaders were all taken aback. Even without eyeballs, one can still discern a hint of doubt. Sir, what is amusement park? Last night, you also said a lot of nice things to me in bed. These rabbit girl fox spirits really don't have much entertainment to offer in the main city. Unlike Fang Hao, who could leave at will, he spent most of his time in the city, just getting through each day as it came. Fang Hao thought about it carefully. It's not that building an amusement park is bad. We have plenty of skeletons and materials. Let alone building an amusement park, they could build an entire city. The main question is how to make a pirate ship rock, just like a roller coaster needs to run on rails. In the current environment, it's really hard to say whether this technology can be completed. Looking into those expectant eyes all morning, I felt a little reluctant to do it. He then summoned all the craftsmen in the city to discuss whether the construction could be completed. Even if it's just building some simple entertainment facilities, it would be good to bring joy to maids. Fang Hao gave the 3 of them a brief explanation of what amusement park is, and the facilities that need to be built in amusement park. Blacksmith, after listening, Hyolyn asked softly. Sir, what is the purpose of building these facilities? For it, the moment these words were spoken, a multitude of angry eyes glared at Hyolyn. You can think of it as a place for relaxation and leisure. Craftsmen can go there to play cards or chess in their spare time, Fang Hao explained. Oh, I understand, sir. Hyolyn nodded and continued. Sir, what kind of facilities are you referring to? We can help you think of a solution. Fang Hao thought for a moment and then began to give a simple description. The three craftsmen listened to Fang Hao's story while sketching on paper. Merchant Alliance Outpost, Succubus Hut. The succubus hero Yezebeth smiled and poured a full glass of fruit tea for the person opposite her. Our champion, is there something you need from me? Opposite her sat a silver-haired dragon girl with slightly swollen lips and a gloomy expression. Hearing the other person's words, he asked coldly, Yezebeth, who was staying in room 207 the day I came for a drink. I need to know his identity. Bait returned to Dragon Peak Mountain, and the more he felt something was wrong with him. She wasn't stupid. Once she sobered up, she realized what had happened. That wasn't a dream. Someone really did take advantage of her while she was drunk and rode her. The succubus glanced at the other person curiously. What happened? Baiate's expression remained grim. How could she possibly tell the other person what happened? That's ridiculous, he said coldly. That's none of your business. Just tell me who it is. The succubus smiled but did not answer directly. Business people shouldn't reveal information about their customers, especially about succubi like them who can enter dreams. If this gets out, my business will likely be severely affected. But the dragons, those guys are the most troublesome. Even the Merchant Alliance can't handle them. After thinking for a moment, he still smiled and said, Of course, but you have to keep it a secret from us and not tell us that you got the information from me. A transmigrators, with black hair and black eyes, wearing the succubus described softly. As the features became clearer, surprise and disbelief were also evident in Baiate's eyes. It's him. Half an hour later, the dragon girl, whose face was gloomy, was seen off. The succubus stood at the window, watching the silver-haired dragon girl walk out of the store. The dragons are looking for this transmigrators. That's really interesting. Knock knock. There was another knock on the door. A little succubus walked in. Demon Lord's sister. Succubus Demon Lord glanced at it, nodded, and said, So, any information? Yes. Little succubus took 2 steps forward, closed the door, and said softly, I obtained detailed information about Dust Mud Valley through the dream transmigrators. Tell me about it. In his dream fragments, I saw a large number of skeletal undead who could use dwarven firearms and magic to destroy the demons in the valley and flatten the entire valley. This is not an exaggeration. It was truly flattened. The demon lord was also somewhat surprised. How did an undead creature end up in orc territory? So, it's a conflict between the undead army and the demons? The demon lord said. Little succubus shook his head again. No, that undead army is a team of human transmigrators. The same human who carried the demonic material last time. His name is Fang Hao. The demon lord Yezebeth stared wide-eyed. Then his eyes narrowed. Little succubus's eyes went unfocused for a moment, and his body went limp as he collapsed. The demon lord entered little succubus's dream. He reviewed the information she had gathered again. When I saw it, there were corpses everywhere. Cannon fire covered the valley, and magic bullets filled the sky. Even she was startled. With that kind of firepower, it's no wonder the demons couldn't survive. Amidst the spirits, a young transmigrator slowly stepped down from the carriage. Looking around, it was none other than the transmigrators I had seen before. It really was him. The demon lord stopped entering the dream, and little succubus stood up groggily. He continued reporting. The person I entered the dream, after seeing Fang Hao appear, was no longer afraid of the demon and was full of confidence in him. The demon lord nodded and said with a smile, Very good. You did a good job. Don't tell anyone about this. Yes, demon lord sister. All right, go and rest. Little succubus withdrew, while the demon lord leaned against the window, lost in thought. It seems I've come into contact with an extraordinary person. Sir, we can't provide the electricity you mentioned for now, but making the ship swing back and forth isn't actually that difficult. Hyolyn and the other two said after discussing for a moment. These words were spoken. A group of maids, their eyes filled with starlight. Suddenly I realized that these skeletons are actually quite cute. How did you do that? Fang Hao asked. Wait a moment, sir. Hyolyn turned around and started drawing on the paper again. After studying it carefully for a while, a blueprint appeared before everyone. The first half is the pirate ship facility that Fang Hao wanted. On one side of the pirate ship, there is an area that extends out as a huge wheel, inside which is a large circular wheel. I drew several humanoid creatures, depicted in a running motion. Sir, the pirate ship can be started by using the energy provided by the rotating wheel, and can be stopped when not needed. Oh, this. Fang Hao understood it immediately from the picture. It looks somewhat like a bicycle. The power provided by the rotor is transmitted to the pirate ship through various gears to make the boat sway back and forth. This would have been impossible for humans in the past, but there's no problem here. Even ordinary soldiers possess considerable strength. In particular, there are large numbers of skeleton ogres within the territory. It wouldn't hurt to have a few people keep maids company. They use skull motifs for hanging clothes and changing lampshades. Are we short of these few wheelchair operators? Will it work? It shouldn't be a big problem. If this is possible, then roller coasters and Ferris wheels can also be completed. Fang Hao thought for a moment and said, let's make a miniature model to test it first. If it can be powered up, then we can proceed with construction. Yes, sir. Okay. Thank you for your hard work. The three bowed again and withdrew in unison. After the craftsman left, Fang Hao continued to look at maids, whose faces were filled with joy. He said, feigning seriousness, don't get too excited yet. There are conditions for building amusement park. Huh? What are the conditions? And Jia asked. Besides the first pirate ship, for every 2 people who become heroes, we'll build you an extra entertainment facility. If you can't achieve that, no amount of pleading will help. Fang Hao continued. Oh, this. The group looked at each other. Doesn't Jia count? And Jia doesn't count. All eyes turned to Mealy. She was the one improving the fastest and seemed to be approaching tier 10. Mealy smiled evasively. I'll try. Fang Hao clapped his hands. He continued. All right, go train now. The future of this amusement park depends on your efforts. Splash. The women left together and headed towards the training ground. After lunch, Lord's Book has received news of Li Rong. Tell him that the hot pot restaurant in Silverwing City has opened, but there aren't many customers. They believe this was a losing proposition. To popularize the use of chopsticks and hot pot among these people is a foolish idea. It's the right decision to dominate the women's market. Fang Hao didn't mind, and just told her to tell Vanessa to continue operating normally. Food and drinks will be delivered to them as usual. That's what a hot pot restaurant is like. When it first opened, business was slow. I've never seen this way of eating before, and I also have to learn how to use chopsticks. Most people will definitely not be able to accept it at first. As long as someone is willing to try it, it will gradually become popular with the rest of the population. The cities of Prol and Lysis have already been verified. Moreover, it remains incredibly popular with customers. Hot pot tastes much better than just smoked meat slices and toast. I can't be bothered with you. You'll be crying when you lose money. Li Rong said that, and then said nothing more. I just hung up the chat. A voice from Nisbet announced the news from outside the door. My lord, the orcs from Pigman Village wish to see you. Have him wait in the hall on the first floor. I'll be right down. Fang Hao said. Go downstairs, and you'll see a jackal folk sitting in the first floor hall. Pigman Village is now a general term for a cluster of villages. This represents the orc village led by Pigman Village, which is ruled by Petty. It includes many orc races. Upon seeing Fang Hao descend, jackal folk immediately bowed and said, Greetings, Lord. Jackal folk was terrified when he entered the city. Everywhere, there were all sorts of dead spirits. It seems like this is a land of the dead. Fortunately, I hadn't gone to the wrong place. The Lord really was there. Yes, is there something you need? Fang Hao gestured for him to stand up and then asked. Jackal folk subconsciously shook his fur and replied, Chief Petty told me to bring this to the adults to see if it's of any use. As he spoke, he took out a tag from his backpack. Fang Hao took it and examined it. The sign was small and delicate, with 2 words written on it. Female demon. Recruitment order badge. Recruitment order card. Banshee. Category. Items. Description. Some amazing strongholds and facilities will randomly appear in the wild. They are full of dangers and opportunities. Recruitment order cards can be used to recruit special units at the corresponding facilities. This wasn't the first time he'd seen this kind of token. Previously, I had received a purple scale horse recruitment order card. With this token, a large number of purple scale horses were recruited. In the very beginning, before he had teleportation abilities, the purple scale horse greatly increased the speed of travel between cities. Even today, the purple scale horse remains an excellent mount. How did you obtain it? Fang Hao asked Jackal folk. This morning, someone delivered these to Pigman Village, saying that some migrating flying beasts appeared in the north and dropped these small tags. Chief Petty asked you to take a look and see if they are of any use. Jackalfolk tried his best to organize his thoughts and make himself clearer. Fang Hao nodded. It must have been some kind of outdoor building that was created. Bring Dimitrika here, Fang Hao said. Dimitrika was brought over very quickly. Fang Hao nodded. There are some things to do at Pigman Village. You'll need to come with me. Yes, sir, Dimitrika nodded. Then, Fang Hao released the teleportation light screen and, with Dimitrika and Jackalfolk leading his horse, entered the light screen. They walked out of the light curtain. Pig People Petty, along with several orcs, was already waiting nearby. After the ceremony, Fang Hao asked directly, "Where did you get the token? Tell me." Petty looked behind him, and an orc stepped forward and said respectfully, "Sir, it was in the northeast, near the Cold Wind Mountains, that a lot of flying beasts suddenly appeared there. After clearing them out, we found these small signs. It's been cleaned up." "How many?" Fang Hao continued to ask. "There are 10. Petty handed over 10 tokens, all of which were the same as the previous ones. The words "female demon" are engraved on it. Fang Hao took it and said to the orc who had provided the information, "Take me to the location of those flying beasts." "Oh yes, sir. Hop on the bone dragon and soar into the sky towards your destination." After wandering around that dense forest twice, the target building was quickly located. Bone Dragon landed, and Fang Hao and the other two jumped down. In front of him was a nest built in a tree. It didn't look very nice, and if you didn't have good eyesight, you would have a hard time spotting it. Forest nest. Category: outdoor construction. Recruitment: Harpy. Banshee recruitment order card: 0/10. Countdown to stay: 1 hour 12 minutes 24 seconds. Description: a forest nest in the wild, capable of recruiting up to 10 harpy. Recruited harpy cannot breed. As expected, it's no different from the purple scale horse. They all rely on these outdoor structures for recruitment. This can be seen as an opportunity for transmigrators. With only 1 hour left, the time was almost up. Adjust the recruitment quota to 10. Recruitment confirmed. Hundredfold amplification triggered. Recruiting harpy 1010. Large swathes of light appeared from the sky. More than 1,000 figures, flapping their wings, floated in the air. As her name suggests, she has the appearance of a human female, but on her back, she has huge wings that resemble those of an eagle. Its arms and calves are covered with thick feathers. The feet are not human feet and toes, but rather resemble sharp eagle claws. You can easily grab the tree trunk below and keep your body upright in the tree. Harpy level 8. Tier 8 unit. Not bad. Whoosh. The sound of air being cut was heard all around. Can you understand me? Fang Hao looked up at the swarm of female demons. It's uncertain whether this type of soldier, operating in the wild, possesses intelligence. Yes, my lord, the foremost succubus said. The other female demons also stared at the three of them with great curiosity. A commanding unit that can communicate is very good. Fang Hao nodded and said, "All right, I am your lord. Now I will take you back to your territory." "Understood, my lord," the succubus replied. "Okay, I'll open the portal in a bit, and you can all go in." The succubi nodded. Fang Hao directly opened the dimensional gate, and the banshees were taken aback when they saw the horde of undead. Then, urged on, it flew inside anyway. The banshee left, and Fang Hao and the others rode back on the bone dragon. Harpy level 8. Faction: none. Racial traits: living beings, flight, dark vision. Skills: scout, deceive, swiftness, tier D. Inherent skills: advanced flight mastery, advanced reconnaissance mastery, dark vision. This unit's vision is not affected by nighttime. Reconnaissance: passive. Enter reconnaissance state, and your 5 senses are enhanced. Deceive: actively. In the silent night, it lures the lost into darkness. Swiftness: active. In flight mode, speed plus 50%. Tier: active. Lower limb claw strength plus 25%. Description: half-human, half-raptor hybrids are excellent at reconnaissance and hunting, but they often play a less than honorable role. Harpy's skills are also quite unique. To put it bluntly, he was a scout, a reconnaissance soldier capable of flight, highly mobile, and possessing night vision. From the perspective of a power, reconnaissance soldiers are indeed an indispensable part. Main city. More than 1,000 harpies stood in the treetops. They looked down warily. Below, a large number of living beings and the dead gathered. They were also confused about what was going on. The city is well built, but why do living beings and the dead live in the same city? They were still talking in hushed tones. It seems that they not only don't reject each other, but also have a very friendly relationship. During the somewhat cold standoff between the two sides, Fang Hao and Dimitrika emerged from the light screen. After glancing around, he introduced, "These are the new harpies who have joined the territory. Everyone, please get to know them. Don't worry, harpy, newly joined." The people below were also discussing it in hushed tones. After Fang Hao finished his introduction, he said to the harpies standing in the tree, "You guys discuss it and choose a team leader. We'll be assigning you tasks later." The succubi huddled together and whispered among themselves. Soon, Harpy, with her shoulder-length brown hair, flew out and slowly landed on the ground. She bowed and said, "Zulika greets the Lord." From the face, there is actually not much difference from human females. Only the body part has very obvious bird characteristics. "Yes, welcome everyone." Fang Hao responded with a smile, then continued, "Before dark, I need to build you shelters. Are there any requirements?" "We can live in tree nests and human buildings," Zulika said softly. "Okay, let's go then. I'll build houses for you on the ground. Each house will have 5 rooms, and you two can share 1 room. Warehouse will provide all your daily necessities. Just go and get them yourself." Fang Hao introduced the houses as they walked towards the residential area. A flock of harpy flew overhead with a whooshing sound. It did block out the sun overhead. After finishing up with Harpy's business, it was already getting dark. Fang Hao returned to Lord's Manor to rest. But Maids was working exceptionally hard today. After dinner, they went to the training ground together. They started training with lots of laughter and chatter. The next day, the entire city became lively. Early in the morning, someone from Lizard Man informed us that the pilgrimage to Lizard Man would take place in 3 days. That is, the day Dimitrika married the queen and they made it. This is a major event for both individuals and their respective factions. Early in the morning, Skeleton Tailor began having Dimitrika try on dresses. Yer, Xiaobai, Hiyue, and the others were also on the side, making a list of people who would be accompanying them and arranging the necessary things. In the east of the city, near the river, under unified command, countless skeletons embarked on a massive construction project to build amusement park. Blacksmith began forging the support frame and hull for the pirate ship. Stone Carver drew hundreds of sketches, including stone bridge carvings, garden rockeries, and landscape sculptures, determined to give himself plenty of work, so that we don't end up with no work to do again. The newly joined Harpy members were also assigned tasks. They patrol the area around the main city, primarily from the air. Fang Hao timed it perfectly and arrived at the witchcraft chamber. Open the building, and the skills will appear before your eyes. Bone manipulation technique. 146 hours and 30 minutes. The soul that never disperses. 122 hours and 57 minutes. Divine descent completed. Fang Hao clicked on divine descent. The next second, a beam of light merged into Fang Hao's body. Divine descent upgraded to divine descent level 3. Skill range plus 50%. Target range plus 1. Control body compatibility plus 20%. Divine descent upgraded once again. In addition to the increased numerical value, the number of targets has increased again. In other words, he can now control 3 undead or 3 demon puppets at the same time. In the Organ Museum, there are also dolls made by Nielsen, which he can control. Divine Descent, Shadowstone 60, Mana Essence 20, Skeleton Soldiers 300, Warfire Coin 4500. The materials have increased again. Upgrade confirmed. The countdown started again. Divine Descent, 479 hours and 59 minutes. After closing the building information, Fang Hao walked back. Dragon Peak Mountain. Inside the Dragon Cave in Bait, Aragon glanced cautiously at Bait ahead, feeling somewhat uneasy. Why is this NPC so hard to win over? He brought the wine himself, along with some novelties he had obtained from the transmigrators. They didn't get a friendly response at all. He had a cold, murderous look on his face. I was just about to say something. The silver-haired dragon girl, Bait, spoke first. "Have you found Fang Hao's territory?" Aragon was taken aback. He had come today not only to improve his image, but also for this very reason. "You've come to the right place," he hurriedly said. "I was just about to tell you. We've found the exact location." "Explain." "It's located between the Human 100 Cities Federation and the Orcs. You can spot it from the air as soon as you get there," Aragon said hastily. "Is it accurate? With such a long distance involved, if something goes wrong, I can't protect you." "Yes, it must be over there." This was information he had obtained with great difficulty, and it could be said to be quite accurate. Baiate's expression grew even colder. He said, All right, go back and prepare. I'll speak with the elders and set a time before we go kill that Fang Hao. Yes, Miss Bait. Bait leaped out of the cave, transformed into a dragon, and flew towards the mountaintop. Aragon stood still, mounting his pterosaur as he muttered, "What's going on? Why does he seem even more eager than me to kill Fang Hao? There's still one day until the Lizard Man pilgrimage." Early in the morning, lizard folk Queen Anastasia, with more lizard men, arrived in Fang Hao's territory. However, this time, the accompanying team, they were no longer fierce and strong guards, but more like an honor guard. Before Fang Hao could speak, a lizard man, dressed as a minister, stepped forward and said, "Lord Fang Hao, in view of the long-standing relationship between the two sides and the prospect of long-term cooperation, the Holy Dynasty hereby submits an alliance treaty, wishing to establish an alliance with your territory." Forehead. Both factions claim to be allies, but their friendship has always been merely verbal. Now, the day before Lizardman's pilgrimage, he has produced the Alliance Pact. This means an alliance is being formed. An alliance signifies mutual recognition of each other's power and a willingness to befriend one another. Let's delve deeper. It means that the two forces are back-to-back and can complement each other's weaknesses. In the event of battle, you have a reliable ally. At least they won't stab you in the back or do anything underhanded at a crucial moment. Otherwise, there would be no need to go through the trouble of signing such a treaty. This alliance was initially signed between the 100 Cities Federation and the Grey Iron City. Together they fight against the undead and vampires. However, as time went by and the leaders changed, this alliance contract became a worthless piece of paper. Fang Hao took the contract and glanced at it. The content pertains to an equal contract, so there's nothing wrong with it. "What do I need to do?" Fang Hao asked. Lizard Man reminded him, and Fang Hao gently pricked his fingertip and pressed a thumbprint on it. Immediately afterwards, a system prompt appeared. "Form an alliance with the Lizard Man, Southland, forces. You have obtained map sharing from allied factions. Your territory has gained the attention of the Ancient Saint, increasing the new life and proliferation bloodline talent of your territory by 2%. 3 notifications appeared in succession. Fang Hao was taken aback. The alliance even had a notification. With the map shared, Fang Hao immediately opened the map in Lord's book and took a look. In a large area in the lower left corner, the fog of war had disappeared. It shows dense jungles and swamps. The third clue mentions the Ancient Saint, the deity worshipped by the entire Lizard Man tribe. After forming an alliance, the Ancient Saint also blessed his side, increasing their bloodline talent by 2%. It seems that both Lizard Man and the Ancient Saints care a lot about bloodlines. Even the blessings offered are related to bloodlines. I just don't know if it will work for me. After the contract was completed, one copy was handed to Fang Hao, and the other was quickly put away by the Lizard Man official. Then he stood properly to the side. The Queen then spoke, saying, "Now, we are true allies. It's just a piece of paper. We were already allies before, and our relationship will only get stronger in the future." Fang Hao replied with a smile. "Dimitrika has 100 points of loyalty and would never betray you. As long as nothing particularly serious happens after he gets together with the Queen, this marriage alliance will continue." "Yes, that's true." The Queen picked up her teacup and took a sip. Fang Hao continued, "Tomorrow is the pilgrimage. Is there anything I can arrange?" The Queen shook her head again. "We have already made all the arrangements. Then I'll bring people over. The territory will be closed during the pilgrimage. If Lord Fang Hao wishes to go, he can do so a few days later." The Queen replied softly. Forehead. It means that outsiders are not welcome to the Lizard Man pilgrimage. He thought that attending a wedding meant he would be able to eat at a banquet or something. That's good. To avoid trouble. Okay, then I'll visit the Holy Dynasty after the pilgrimage. Fang Hao nodded, then looked at Dimitrika. "Dimitrika, you will go to the Holy Dynasty with the Queen later to take care of the pilgrimage. Don't worry about the territory." "Thank you, sir." Dimitrika immediately stood up to express his gratitude. After chatting for a while, Fang Hao took the lizard men for a stroll around the city. We walked all the way to the construction site outside the east side of the city. Lizard Folk Queen looked up at the slowly drifting airship, a hint of surprise flashing in her eyes. Goblin airship. Years ago, when airships were phased out, many large corporations have attempted to negotiate with Merchant Alliance to purchase airships' blueprint and manufacture it themselves. This includes Lizard Man. But in the end, the goblins sealed the blueprint away and the last few intact airships were sent to exhibition halls and parks to serve as artifacts. How do you have an airship? The queen asked in confusion. The group looked up and watched as the airship, suspended by heavy metal supports, was slowly lowered into the dug ground. Fang Hao replied, I acquired it by chance, and I usually use it to transport goods and such. The queen became even more curious and glanced at Dimitrika beside her. Seeing that he nodded slightly, it seemed that Fang Hao was not exaggerating. So, you're able to make it? The queen's tone still held a hint of surprise and doubt. Fang Hao glanced at her and asked curiously, Is the queen interested in this kind of airship? Well, if possible, I would like to purchase some airships to take back to the territory for use, the queen said without hiding anything. The area where the southern lizard man lived was a combination of swamps and forests. The road conditions are not good. The mode of transportation was also animal-borne. This is also why Lizard Man initially wanted to purchase airship. If it can be transported by air, it would be more convenient and efficient than by land. Fang Hao nodded, quickly weighed the options in his mind, and said, Why bring up buying them? When we leave, take 20 ships with us back home. Do you have any technicians? If not, I'll give you a few skeleton technicians. Lizard Man has brought quite a few items with him on his last few visits. Especially this time, there were all sorts of gold and silver artifacts, as well as several hundred four-legged giant lizard shepherd's flutes. I was even thinking about what to give as a return gift. It would be good to give some airships as a gift, and also to give Dimitrika some face, so as not to be seen as currying favor with the queen. This is a bit too expensive. Whatever's valuable, it's all as it should be, Fang Hao said nonchalantly. Seeing Fang Hao's generosity, the queen did not refuse. However, the matter of taking it away still needs to be coordinated between transmigrators and Fang Hao after the pilgrimage. Trade the airship over. After the airship incident was over, Fang Hao then took them for a walk around the neighborhood and discussed potential areas for future cooperation. After dinner, the queen and her entourage planned to leave. Everything that needed to be brought was prepared for Dimitrika. Dimitrika, there's nothing going on in the territory, so you can stay with the queen for a while longer, Fang Hao said. It's like giving him a wedding leave. Thank you, sir. Next, Jia, Yer, and others went up to offer their blessings to Dimitrika. It's like they're not coming back. Once everything is ready, Dimitrika then joined the Lizard Man team and entered the Merchant Alliance's teleportation light screen. When Dimitrika comes back, let him take us there to play, and Jia suggested. Okay, but I heard that area is all swamp and very dangerous. Xiaobai was a little scared again. What are you afraid of? If you fall in, I'll pull you out. Inside Lord's Manor, Fang Hao then opened the map on the Lord's book and began to examine it. After the Alliance map is shared, Lizardman's territory is still quite clear, an area located in the southwest of the territory. If we divide the territory according to the Transmigrators' regions, Lizardman's territory happens to have a region in the same area as Fang Hao's. The larger part is in another area. Between the two sides, a large area remains shrouded in the fog of war, its allegiance unclear. The plan was to avoid the Merchant Alliance and establish trade between the two sides privately, but this could not be done for the time being because caravans simply could not cross the border. At such a distance, strategic support is out of the question. Fang Hao has teleportation abilities and can support Lizard Man, but it's impossible for Lizard Man to support himself. Bite. Suddenly, a private message notification sounded. Fang Hao was so frightened that his hand trembled. Close the map and view the private message. It's Ma Tianyi. Ma Tianyi was previously the leader of the Shanghai Alliance. Both his leadership and abilities are quite strong. Upon opening it, the first sentence read, Boss, do you have some kind of enemy? Fang Hao frowned. Well, I have quite a few enemies. However, Ma Tianyi should not be able to contact his enemies. After thinking for a moment, he replied, How so? Ma Tianyi replied, Recently, many people on the World Channel have been trying to find out about your whereabouts and location through various channels. Kindness, World Channel, being curious about oneself is not a strange thing. Now, when I open the chat, countless messages come in. However, Ma Tianyi, as someone who had served as the leader of an alliance, wouldn't speak carelessly. Tell me more details. Fang Hao continued to ask. The person on the other end paused briefly before continuing. A foreigner contacted a young woman in the alliance. Although she didn't reveal any information, it's clear that they're intentionally trying to find out your location. Fang Hao frowned. Members of the Shanghai Alliance, including Ma Tianyi, were not entirely clear about their own situation. They're not afraid to reveal anything. but the fact that foreigners kept probing him made him wary. At the same time, a person flashed through my mind. Aragon, can you still get in touch with that foreigner? Fang Hao continued to ask. No, we can't. They blocked us. That's why we suspected they had some ulterior motive, Ma Tianyi said. Okay, I understand. Let me know as soon as there's any further news. Okay, after the two ended their chat, Fang Hao fell into deep thought once again. Judging from Ma Tianyi's description, someone was indeed constantly trying to gather information about him, leaving aside the major alliances that are interested in gathering intelligence on us. The most likely candidate is Aragon. The dragons have been searching for him, and Aragon is dependent on them. Only he would constantly gather intelligence on himself in order to demonstrate his usefulness to the dragon race. Dimitrika has gone to the Lizardman territory. It seems he still needs to fill the vacant hero slots. If the other side really has a way to cross global borders to attack us, heroes capable of fighting against dragons, which are flight-type units. Lorena. The only candidate who can fly and meets the requirements is Lorena. It seems that I have to coax her over no matter what. You'll need to stay in the main city for a while, regardless of your status. Once you've made up your mind, release the teleportation light screen and disappear from the spot. Stepping out of the light curtain, you arrive at Blood Fortress. The cold, ancient castle is no longer filled with gray and white walls and floors. Murals and ornaments were hung on the walls, and a dark red carpet was laid on the floor. Even on the windowsill, there were two potted plants that looked somewhat like screaming mushrooms and hanging mushrooms. It wasn't as empty as before, but it still felt a bit strange. On the throne, Lorena, dressed in a purple dress, reclined on the seat, her long, straight legs, clad in black stockings, draped to one side, the hem of her dress falling down to her upper thighs. With his head tilted back and a stack of papers in his hand, he seemed completely uninterested in Fang Hao's sudden arrival. Why are you here again? He said something very ordinary. Chapter 2 was never written. I love you, sorry.